Okay, let's jump right in. Today we did a deep dive into the book of Joshua. We were looking specifically, comparing the very beginning, chapter 1, when he starts leading.
Right after Moses. Big shoes to fill.
Exactly. And then comparing that to his farewell speech decades later in chapter 23.
And our research, our notes, they showed something pretty incredible about consistency and leadership over the long haul.
Yeah, the mission was really to see how Joshua's core message holds up. I mean, launching a nation versus retiring decades later.
You'd expect changes, maybe, but no. The structure, the underlying blueprint, it remains remarkably consistent.
And that was the sort of aha moment for us, wasn't it?
Definitely. Finding that both speeches, years apart, use the exact same three-part framework, past, present, and future.
It's like a masterclass, really. Unchanging wisdom for any long-term goal you might have.
So let's start with the past. How does that ground everything?
Well, in chapter 1, Joshua takes over, and he's told, famously, be strong and extremely courageous. But why? It's not just, inner grit. The strength comes from history. It's anchored.
Anchored in what specifically?
In the promise that God will be with him, just as God was with Moses. That past faithfulness is the bedrock.
And what's really fascinating is that when you jump, maybe 30, 40 years ahead to chapter 23?
Yeah, a long time.
Joshua, now an old man, gathers the leaders. And what's the first thing he does?
He makes them look back.
Exactly. Look back. Remember the miracles, how God fought for them, secured that initial land inheritance? It's like opening a life album,
So the foundation, past deliverance, past grace, that never changes. Strength always comes from remembering.
Right. So, okay, if the past gives confidence, what's the demand for the present? What action is needed right now?
In chapter 1, it's really clear. Immediate, rigorous discipline. Keep the law, the instruction, right there in your mouth.
Study it day and night.
Day and night. Don't turn right or left. Total focus.
It's presented as, the metric for success, isn't it? Constant execution of that instruction.
But then, fast forward again to chapter 23. Decades later, people are settled, things have cooled down. Is it still just read the book?
Well, yes, but it gets more specific. More pointed, I'd say. The command reinforces living by the law in verse 6.
Okay.
But then verse 7 hits the immediate danger. Do not mingle with the remaining local peoples.
So it's about separation now.
Yes. Don't swear by their gods. Don't serve them. It's a direct warning against getting sucked into the Canaanite culture all around them.
Things like Baal worship, Asherah.
That stuff.
Yeah.
Precisely. That was the present danger that could erode everything right then and there. So present discipline becomes about maintaining identity, separation.
Okay, that makes sense. Past confidence, present discipline. Which brings us to the future. Obedience promises success, right?
That's the promise in chapter 1, yes. Success, smooth paths if you stick to the law.
But wait, you mentioned chapter 23. The people are settled. But was the job actually done? Was the conquest finished?
No, not even close, actually. That's a critical detail we found in the sources. Yeah, the historical reality was messy. Think about it. Jebusites still held Jerusalem for hundreds of years after this. Many strongholds remained. The tribes basically went home to territories that were only partly conquered.
Okay, if the job wasn't finished, how could Joshua possibly promise future victory to these tired people? Sounds a bit like empty hype.
It would be empty hype, except he connects the future promise directly back to the past through their present actions.
How so?
He guarantees that God will still drive out the remaining people before them. That's verse 5 in chapter 23. And modern translations really make it clear this is a future promise.
Okay.
And this is the key, that guarantee hinges entirely on their present obedience. They're disciplined now. If they slip, mingle with the other cultures.
The promise is off.
The promise is withdrawn. Present discipline is the absolute hinge connecting God's past actions to his future ones for them.
Wow. So the structure holds perfectly. Remember the past successes, maintain that strict present discipline, and then you can trust the future promise that's tied to that effort.
Exactly. It's a powerful framework for, anything significant you undertake. Faith, leadership, even personal goals.
And that warning about Canaanite culture. Our sources drew a line to modern times, didn't they?
They did, yeah. Explicitly linking that ancient threat of cultural assimilation to modern temptations. Things like maybe unchecked materialism or adopting a kind of ruthless worldly success logic that compromises your core values.
So if Israel's big failure point initially was not driving out those remaining hostile influences, You have to ask yourself, right? What unconquered tribes, what persistent problems or unchallenged bad habits, or maybe negative influences are still kind of squatting in your life, or maybe your organization?
Yeah, what needs to be addressed now if you want to secure that promised future?
Definitely something to chew on until next time.